everyone to the 2022 Women's History Month, Maryland Day, Bicentennial of Harriet Tubman, Video Showcase, and Lifetime Achievement Awards program. Wow, this is going to be great. The talent is intergenerational, and there will be singing, there will be reenactments, there will be tributes, and so we want you to sit back, rest, come up when you want to snap your fingers, clap your hands, stomp your feet. This is going to be a fantastic show.
Land acknowledgement. Let us begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory stolen from the Piscataway people. As we work towards truth and reconciliation to create spaces for healing and connection, let us first acknowledge the racial terror of colonialism and attempted erasure of indigenous people. As we live, work, worship, and tour in historic Annapolis, let us also commit to learning and honoring the sacrifices, resistance, history, and culture of the first state-recognized tribes in Maryland, the Piscataway Conoy Tribe and the Piscataway Indian Nation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. In West African culture, it is tradition to pour libation and call out the names of our ancestors. This is so that we can welcome our ancestors into our ceremony, to ask them to protect us and to guide us, just as Nana Harriet Tubman protected and guided her charges as she brought them to freedom. Now, as I pour this water into this dish or into this plant, we use water because it is life-affirming. And as I call out the names, I will say Ashe, and you should respond wherever you are, Ashe, which means that we are in agreement because the ancestors will not come if we are not. So let us begin. First, we call out God, our deity, and that God can be called by many names, but we will call him love because love is what it is all about. So the deity, love, Ashe. To the natural elements, the sky, the earth, the wind, to the directions, the north, south, and the east and west, we say Ashe. Now calling to mind those of our ancestors who from Mother Africa did not make that Middle Passage, did not survive, but who died in the ocean as they struggled to be free, we say Ashe. To those who did survive the Middle Passage, for those who taught us how to make a way out of no way, for those ancestors, some famous and some obscure, but all lent us their courage and the strength that we have today. We say Ashe. Ashe. For those ancestors who are in our families, our mothers, fathers, grandparents, aunties, uncles, some of those who share no blood with us at all, but we called them our relatives because they loved us as if we were. To those, you close your eyes and think about someone in your family who has made transition and call out their names as I say Ashe. And lastly, to the unborn who will one day sit in this space and pour libation, and that we answer the challenge that our names will be worthy for them to call. And we say Ashe. Ashe. Asheo. Thank you.
I am Reverend Dr. Tamara England Wilson. I am the pastor of the New Season New Day Church and Ministries. I am an author, and I am the chair of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. And Lou asked me to come on today to speak about Harriet Tubman from the perspective of the pastor, the author, and the chair of the state's commission. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do so. The lessons I learned about Harriet Tubman during Black History Month as a child in school were extremely impactful. Visions of a Black woman in a long dress, running through the forest, outrunning the white men on horses who were chasing after her, filled my mind. More details were added each year. For example, the gun she used to threaten other slaves, the long white beard she had like Moses, you know, Moses from the Bible, and the disfigurement of her face from when she was hit with a brick by mistake when she stopped at the store as she was about to leave the plantation. The hundreds of times she came back to that place called Dorchester, which was somewhere way down south. But above all, Harriet never got caught. They finally explained that train, they never explained that train that she caught that traveled underground to the 90 miles all the way to Philly. So yes, that's a child's interpretation of inaccurate taught historical events. Yet with all of the inaccuracies, Harriet Tubman was still forged in my mind as a shero. My own study of my shero and what I have learned from historians and experts, that distorted view has since changed to a vision of a woman desperate not to be sold away from her family, fled enslavement, right here, less than 100 miles in the state where I was born and raised. She left armed with nothing more than her faith in God and instructions on how to follow the North Star to different safe places along what became known as the Underground Railroad, until she reached the free state of Philadelphia, where she later recalled, "I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom." So she kept going back to help others experience what she experienced, freedom from the bondage of the worst sin of the American people. For me, with all of the hats I wear, Harriet Tubman is a shining example of what it means to be a Black woman. She was fierce, smart, and wise, because you know, being smart and wise are two different things. She was intuitive, and she was also resourceful. And once she made up her mind to do what she was going to do, nothing was going to stop her. Harriet Tubman, for me, was a fierce fighter for racial and gender equality in America, and it was important to us that her role in history was never forgotten. That's where the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture comes in. Established through state legislation in 1969 under the leadership of the first Black woman senator in Maryland, and believed to be the first in the nation, Senator Verda Freeman Welcome. Senator Welcome's vision was to develop a state commission that would preserve and present Black history, inspire communities, and help uproot racism in Maryland. The commission was the first of its kind in the nation, and still today, it is the one and only ethnic commission that operates a state-funded preservation grant. Ours is $1 million, and the state's Museum on African American History and Culture, which is the Banneker-Douglass Museum in Annapolis. The Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture has inspired legislation across the country for 10 state African American commissions and 75 other ethnic commissions. For over 50 years, the commission has been dedicated to preserving and celebrating African American history and culture in Maryland, and has been at the forefront of this new resurgence of social justice following the death of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic that has so devastated our community. The commission, through our collective work with the Banneker-Douglass Museum and community partners all around the state, has strategically used Black history to mobilize and inspire community building, to teach anti-racist practices, to develop innovative and effective ways to tear down systemic racism practices that were strategically designed and incorporated in society to empower some while disproportionately marginalizing others, all while still working to ensure that African Americans are knowledgeable about and benefit from the current research that improves our general physical and mental health. So the work of the commission builds on Maryland's profound history of movement against slavery, for civil rights, and Black mobility, demonstrating that Black lives really do matter, while also lifting up those who paved the way for us to be and do what God has equipped us to do and be. People like Harriet Tubman, who inspired people like me to join the fight of advocacy. So as I close, my faith in God tells me that the same spirit that inspired Harriet Tubman's fight for slavery and empowered her work of advocacy that continued for the remainder of her life is the same spirit that empowered me to start a church, New Season, New Day Church and Ministries, to author 2 books. I put that information in the chat, and to lead the state's Commission on African American History and Culture and everything else that I feel led to do. I hope it inspires you with faith, determination, and courage so that we can change our world for the better, as Harriet did. So, lastly, the world will honor Harriet Tubman throughout 2022, marking the 200th year of her birth. Have a great day, and thanks for having me today.
Happy birthday, Harriet Tubman. My name is Barbara Peka. I have the honor of serving on the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture here on Maryland's beautiful Eastern Shore. It is a privilege and an honor to introduce to you the choir of Reverend Rosalind Watts. They will be singing to you from some very important areas. One is the historic prayer grounds and church of Harriet Tubman. It's known as the Basil Church. The other location is the Bucktown store near the church. The choir ranges in age from late teens to the elder Mr. Luther Cornish, who is 93 years old. They will be singing a selection of songs, including Hold On to God's Unchanging Hand, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and Standing in the Need of Prayer. We hope that you will enjoy the music as we all celebrate the life and legacy of a remarkable woman, Harriet Ross Tubman. Thank you.
This world is built with civilization. Oh, let me tell you now, more. In this old world and still, good now, I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging hand, changing hand. I'm gonna hold to His hand. Yes, sir, my God's unchanging hand. I'm gonna hold to His hand. Yeah, my God's unchanging hand. I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging, changing hand. I've been built, yeah, no you know, church, I've been strong. Oh, I've been talking about just as sure as you born. Well, now, but I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging hand. Yeah, I'm gonna hold to His hand. Yes, sir, God's unchanging. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna hold to His hand. Yeah, God's unchanging hand. I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging hand. Changing hand. Sometimes up, don't you know, sometimes I've been down. Well, I've been level to the ground. Yeah, but I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging, changing hand. I'm gonna hold to His hand. Yes, sir, my God's unchanging hand. I'm gonna hold to His hand. God's unchanging hand. I'm gonna build my hopes on things eternal. I'm gonna hold to God's unchanging hand.
Dear friends, in celebration of the bicentennial birthday of Harriet Tubman, we are pleased to announce our inaugural Harriet Tubman 2022 Women's History Month Women of Courage video contest. In order to honor the life of Maryland's native mother, native grandmother, native daughter, native aunt, you name it, native of Maryland, we invite all Marylanders who have been inspired by the legacy of Ms. Tubman to submit videos that embrace her spirit. The following topics were your options. Women providing healing, promoting hope, which is the theme of Women's History Month. I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. Dear Mrs. Tubman, you will see generational videos through grade level, various ages, and genders. So let's get started.
Hello, my name is Commissioner Nkwante. I am here to introduce our first video. This video is by Megan Beardsley. She is a youth who is acting as a reporter to talk about Harriet Tubman.
Good evening, this is Samaj Radan from Washington, D.C. reporting live from Huntsville, North Carolina to share with you the legend that is Harriet Tubman. As Harriet Tubman once said, I was a conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years. And I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran a train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. Harriet Tubman was a woman who provided healing and promoted hope by leading 300 black slaves to freedom and went on to become a Civil War nurse. Here are some lesser known facts about the legend that is Harriet Tubman. Harriet Ross's birthday is approximate because no one officially recorded it. Few slaves could read and write, and slave owners kept no precise data on the lives of their slaves. As a Civil War nurse in South Carolina, Tubman worked in this Beaufort Manor house converted into a hospital for contrabands. Eager to teach these impoverished and homeless people to respect themselves, Tubman not only cared for the sick, but helped find jobs for the healthy. Harriet Tubman died, unfortunately, at the age of 93. This has been Samaj Bazan. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.
Our second video is Nat Alston. He is here to give us a tribute on Harriet Tubman.
Hello, my name is Nat Alston, and this is my tribute to Harriet Tubman. I'm titling this tribute, Maryland to Michigan. Harriet Tubman's Underground Railroad has taken on a different perspective for me. I have visited the museum in Cambridge, Maryland, and had the opportunity to visit another location where her statue is located. That location is Ypsilanti, Michigan, not far from Detroit. The distance between these two locations is approximately 600 miles. The distance between my location here in Columbia, Maryland is 515 miles, and it takes me approximately 9 hours to travel that distance. Thinking about the 600 miles back in Harriet Tubman's time, when there was no interstate highways, no roads to travel, and knowing that she had to travel in the woods overnight to escape being caught, made me think about how strong she was to travel that 600 miles to Ypsilanti, Michigan, and then on to Detroit, where she crossed the river to Windsor, Canada, for freedom. I also thought about what she went through traveling that distance and how many days it took her to travel over 600 miles. I can only imagine the many obstacles she encountered and endured. I can only say that she is truly a woman of courage, strength, a woman of perseverance, tenacity, faith, and vision. As we celebrate Women's History Month, let's think about Harriet Tubman's journey to freedom and the people she helped to gain their freedom and the qualities she possessed to make that vision a reality. Thank you.
Our third video is Miss Shawn Ashworth, and she is here to read us a letter she wrote to Miss Tubman.
Hi, Ms. Tubman. I want to formally introduce myself. My name is Shawn Ashworth, and I am the president of Food for Thought Community Outreach Services Incorporated. And like you, every day, I am intentional about providing and helping people to heal, to give them hope, and most importantly, to believe that they are capable of surviving in this world. Ms. Tubman, I so honor you and I value the work that you did in freeing people to a place where they could feel whole, where they could feel like they have value in their community. And so I do the same thing. As I feed all over Anne Arundel County, and Baltimore City, I believe, yes, and belief is so important. I believe in getting people hope by providing them the basic needs, whether it be food, clothes, household items, those things that they need to feel whole and to feel like that they are a value in their community. Like you, I'm not running a train, I'm not running through paths and things like that, but I am running all over the community, trying to reach out and grab those who will just tag along as I try to provide support. And as I said earlier, healing, hope, and belief. And I don't think I've lost a passenger yet. I think that every single month, I have the same people coming back looking for hope, but also they come back to share their successes and how they have used their food to feed their families, how they have used the food to introduce to their families a healthier way of eating. So, Ms. Tubman, I am so glad to be in the presence of you, following you as you gave hope, you healed, and I'm adding on, I believed in what people could become if you just gave them a helping hand. So nice to meet you, Ms. Harriet Tubman. Thank you for all that you have done and I am following in your footsteps. Thank you.
It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not the deacon, not the elder, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not the deacon, not the elder, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Steal away, we hasn't got long to stay here. Good afternoon to you. Allows me to introduce myself to you. My name be Harriet Ross Tubman Davis, and I was here to tell you a little bit about my life. See, I was born, about 1820, 1822, in a dark time in this country history, where people that look like me, colored folks, were stolen away from a continent across the big waters and brought here just to be kept in chains. We was enslaved, we was sold, we was beaten, worked hard from can to can. That means from the time you can't see your hand in front of you till it's so dark you can't. And I, Harriet Tubman, was kept in bondage. Now, when I was born and I belonged to Mr. Edward Brodess on the Brodess plantation where my mama Harriet Green lived. My daddy at that time belonged to Mr. Thompson and he lived on the Thompson plantation. Later on, my daddy was able to purchase his freedom, and long time after that, he actually purchased my mama freedom too. Well, when I was born, my name wasn't Harriet Tubman, no sir. My name was Araminta Ross. I say, Daddy, what Araminta mean? He said, Araminta is a name that come from a place across the big water. It mean protector. I say, Daddy, how I gonna protect anybody? He said, when I tells you these things like how to read the stars and what you can eat and can't eat in the woods, you take all them things, put them in your spirit place so you can take it out later. I was telling you this, children, when you learn things when you little, you members them and put them in your spirit place because you're going to need them when you grows up. Now, when I was a little girl, all I wore was a toe gown, which is a burlap sack. And the children didn't have to work, almost. But I tell you this, one day Mr. Brodess come up and tell me he was going to loan me out. You say, Aunt Harriet, how you loan out a person? That's when a man what owns slave rent his slaves out to somebody what don't. And he get paid all the money. You does the work, he get paid the money. Mr. Brodess powerful mean. He sold away some of my sisters, Leah, Soph, and Mariah, when they was just little. And my mama cried and cried, but he done it anyway. Then me, he loaned out. He rented me to the cooks, where I almost caught pneumonia and died because I was walking around in the swamp with just my toe gown on. Then he rent me out to this mean white lady who beat me just because I let her baby cry. I was just a baby myself, only about 7, 8 years old. My teeth was missing. That's how come they knowed how old I was. Well, after all of that, I decided I'm going to work hard on the plantation so he don't rent me out no more. And I worked hard in the fields with the boys and the men, and I grew strong. Then one time when I was only about 12 years old, we were shucking corn, having a shucking corn contest between Mr. Barrett Darkey and Mr. Brodus Darkey. And I saw an old boy, he was trying to run away. I was curious like any child gonna be, so I follows him all the way about a mile to the Bucktown store. And when he went in that front door and out the back, the overseer said to me, "Minty, stop it." And I remember my daddy say my name mean protector. And I reach in that spirit place and I kept blocking the door. The overseer gets so mad with me. He pick up a lead weight and he throwed it across the room and it hit me in my head, cracked my skull open. I almost died again, but my mama, who was a healer, nursed me back to health. But from that point on, 2 things happened. When I was in that coma, that's when you can't wake up because you're so sick in your body healing yourself. The good Lord started talking to me. And he revealed to me that I was going to be free. The other thing that happened from that point on was I had headaches and sleeping sickness and I was always sickly. Well, I decided that I was going to be free. And I had reasoned it out in my mind that there was 2 things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I was going to have the other. For no man was going to take me alive. I would fight for my freedom with my last breath. When it was time for me to go, only the good Lord himself would take me. And I growed up and even though we enslaved, we fall in love. And I married a man whose name was John Tubman. And when you get married, you can't have a child named like Minty. That when I changed my name to Harriet. I want to be called a name like my mama. See, children, when you looking to be somebody famous and you want to take a new name, and you need not look any further than across the dinner table. To your parents that put food in your mouth and clothes on your back, they the people you should be like. Well, even after I was married to a free man, I knowed I wanted to be free. See, Mr. Brodus had died, and Miss Elijah, his wife, was selling off his slaves, and I thought me and my brothers was going to be sold off. So I planned to run away, but my brothers got scared and dragged me back. Mr. Tubman didn't want to go, my brothers didn't want to go, so I, Harriet Tubman, ran out by myself, enslaved, little, dark, can't read nor write, always sick, but I decided that I wasn't going to let nothing stop me, and I got my freedom. I went to Philadelphia, and that's where I become a part of the Underground Railroad. Tain't a train, tain't underground. It's a secret. A colored folk, white folk, free folk that made sure that they would keep going back, and free folks who wasn't enslaved. I went back 13 times, and I freed all of my sisters and brothers and my parents, except my big sister Rachel, who had died before I could get her. Sometimes I had to take folk all the way up to Canada where it was cold. Anybody said they want to go back, I say, you be free or die. After Civil War break out, that's when the states from up north wanted to free them slaves, and the states from the south wanted to keep them darkies. Well, we fought, and I fought alongside the soldiers in the Union Army. After a while, the Civil War over, the slaves was free, but there was so much fighting to do. I fought for women to get the right to vote. I used to bring people into my house in Auburn, New York, old people, young people, and I took care of them. Remembers this, my children. It ain't about how much you have in life that make you special in the eyes of the Lord. You special when you do things to help other people. I ain't never had nothing, but I had in my heart the desire to help other people. And that's what Harriet Ross Tubman Davis leaves with you today, and I thank you.
It is with great honor that we announce the Harriet Tubman Bicentennial Women of Courage Lifetime Achievement Award to our man of courage, Mr. Lewis C. Fields. He is so deserving of this award. Just by quoting what his mission is, I would like to share this with you. Mr. Fields is co-founder of the Baltimore African American Tourism Council of Maryland. His mission: to educate, research, preserve, protect, and promote Maryland's African American history and culture as a vital and beneficial product as part of Baltimore, Maryland's tourism industry. For over 20 years, he has worked hard to get legislation passed and to acknowledge the leadership of so many of our women in this state. So it is fitting that as he passes the baton to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, that we provide him with this outstanding award for such an outstanding person.
Hello, everyone. This is Lou Fields of the Baltimore African American Tourism Council of Maryland. And today I am to give a 10-minute speech on Harriet Ross Tubman in recognition and celebration of her 200th birthday during this National Women's History Month 2022. And I have spent the last 21 years working on behalf of my ancestors, like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, those who were captured on the shores of Africa and brought to America, coming from the motherland and changed and coming to America, which was called the Promised Land. But it wasn't the Promised Land for people who look like you and me. For the Africans and African Americans for 2.5 centuries, America was not a promised land. America was a land of bondage, severe hardships, not even treated as second-class citizens, actually treated as less than cattle, 3/5 of a human being. And so for 21 years, I have worked with so many people to bring back to the nation and to the state of Maryland and all the people concerned about the lack of Black history in America's public schools and the books that we read. And so after 21 years, on Harriet let me go and say, Lou, you done did this thing for 21 years. It's time to pass it on to another person or organization. And it was a labor of love. It was not always easy, but surely it was not always hard. But we did what we had to do to generate a spark that would lead us to where we are today. And as we look about the nation all across the world, Canada and other countries, we see March 10th celebrated as Harriet Tubman Day. And in this year, 2022, we are celebrating the bicentennial of her birth. We know she was born in 1822. We also know she was born in March. But now that it's 200 years since her birth year and birth month, I think it's high time we give Harriet Tubman a birthday. And so I'm going to ask the Harriet Tubman family that I worked with for almost 2 decades, the Patricia Ross Hawkins and all the Ross family, as well as Ernestine Tina Wyatt, to join with me as we look at the bicentennial birth month and birth year of Harriet Tubman. Let's give Harriet Tubman a birthday. Many enslaved persons, including Tubman and Frederick Douglass, did not know their birth date. And so as we look at how do we honor Harriet, it's always been chosen her death date, March 10th, 1913. I'm going to advocate that we give her our birthday this year, and let's give her the birth date of March 1st. Doesn't have to be official. Some things in the oral tradition of the African American community, it's not so much that it's recorded or documented, but we know she had to have a birthday. Just think about it in your life. I don't know how old the listeners to this presentation may well be, but if you're 20, 40, 50, 70, Just think about what having a birthday has meant to you. For a newborn child, that's the most important day for parents when a child is born into this world. And every child begins to look forward to those birthday parties, those birthday gifts, those birthday well wishes, and the celebrations. But just think about Harriet Tubman never having a birthday, never having a birthday gift, never receiving flowers on her birthday, never receiving any kind of acknowledgement from friends far and near that today is Harriet Tubman's birthday. So I'm going to advocate that we adopt a birthday for Harriet Tubman, March 1st. And then we could have March 1st to March 10th, so we can really have a real celebration and give her a birthday party every year. And so when I get to doing these programs, I try to figure out what do I say, what do I do, and I know I have a limited amount of time. So I'm going to quickly let you know where the Spirit led me. Today it led me to the book of Esther, chapter 8, chapter 7 actually, and chapter 7, verses 1 through 4. And it reads, "Now the king and Haman came to drink wine with Esther the queen. And the king said to Esther on the second day, also as they drank wine at the banquet, 'What is your petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted to you. And what is your request? Even to half of the kingdom it should be given to you.' Even to half the kingdom it shall be done. Then Queen Esther replied, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me as a petition and my people as my request." And that symbolizes to me Harriet Tubman. Even after gaining her own freedom, she had made it to safety. She was working in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. She did not have to come back, but she did numerous times, whether it was 1 or 100. It was more times than most enslaved people who made it to freedom came back to get someone else. Even the legendary Frederick Douglass never risked coming back. He stayed away from Maryland 26 years until Maryland ended slavery before the great Frederick Douglass would come back to the state, unlike Aunt Harriet. And so I just want to thank the commission for agreeing to be the new caretakers of the official state of Maryland Harriet Tubman Day. This is in our 22nd year. And although I could talk for hours on Harriet Tubman and what her life has meant to me and the last 21 years of my life that I spent working to make sure that her legacy continues in the state of Maryland, I have been asked to keep it short. And so in closing, I would just like us to work on adopting March 1st as Harriet Tubman's birthday. We'll talk to the family and see if they think it's a good idea to give Aunt Harriet a birthday. And secondly, I would like all of us to start working together to work with Vice President Kamala Harris and Congress Lady Barbara Lee and Congressman Kwesi Mfume and Senators Cardin and Senator Van Hollen, Congressman John Sarbanes, to push to get Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. I think that would be something that generations unborn could look to and say, yes, America does have diversity and inclusion and equity at its core. And so again, I just want to thank the commission, because after 21 years of giving out the Harriet Tubman Lifetime Achievement Award, I was surely shocked when they decided that I would be the 2022 recipient, and as well the first man to receive the Harriet Tubman Award. We've given the award out to 24 women, because in the 22 years, 2 years we gave it to 2 women. And I'd like to just take a moment and say something about 9 of the 24 women who have received the Harriet Tubman Lifetime Achievement Award. But these 9 have transitioned. They did their work and now they're back home. And so I want to give a special recognition to these ladies who helped me along the way. Evelyn Townsend, Rachel Hall Brown, Delegate Ruth Kirk, Delegate Harry Harrison, Wileen Birch, Dr. Kay McElroy, Verna Day, and Louise Webb and Betty McLeod. So I'm just asking all of us to give them a nice, quiet round of applause for their lifetime of work as a Sister Harriet. And one of the awardees, who's deceased's mother, Betty McLeod, her daughter, Cheryl Macleod, is a member of the commission. And Cheryl and Janice Curtis Green decided, well, they were selected to carry on the Harriet Tubman tradition in the program you're seeing today. And this is one of the programs that we did for Harriet Tubman Day. I believe this was 2018. And what's unique about this program, I visited the Madame Toussaint's Wax Museum in Washington, D.C., myself and about 8 members of the Harriet Ross Tubman family. And this is Harriet Tubman in that wax figure. And as you can see, she's holding a lantern, which I always preferred the lantern over the gun. And of course, I was so thrilled and shocked when one of the gifts that Cheryl delivered to me was a lantern with a light. And it's such a gorgeous tribute. And I really am honored to receive this award. The other award I wanted to share with you quickly is a key, and it reads the Harriet Tubman Lifetime Achievement Award, Bicentennial Award to Louis C. Fields, the key that opens the door to the Banneker-Douglass Museum and the Maryland Commissioners on African American History and Culture. And when you take the other part, the glass enclosed key, it sits so. Isn't that gorgeous? That is absolutely awesome. And so in closing, again, Cheryl, Janice, Dr. Wilson, and all the commissioners, I really appreciate the award. I'm truly humbled and honored to have anything with my name and Harriet Tubman's name on at the same time. And I just have much appreciation that this group is willing to pick up the mantle, pick up the Harriet Tubman Day of Remembrance for the state of Maryland and carry it on. This year, 2022, there will be programs all year long. In September, a 12-foot bronze statue of Harriet Tubman will be unveiled at the Dorchester County Courthouse. In July, the Tubman family reunion would happen in Auburn, New York. We're going to charter a motor coach for those who want to travel with us. You can just call me at 443-983-7974, 443-983-7974. Let's look on my Facebook page, Lou Fields, or we will also have information on our website at bdxlive.biz. That's bdxlive.biz. And that will happen third weekend in July. We'll leave Baltimore, stop up in Auburn, New York for the activities there. But we also will stop in Seneca Falls, which is where the National Women's Hall of Fame is. And we'll stop at Rochester, New York, where Frederick Douglass's home was and his burial site, and some couple of statues to him. And we'll spend some time at Niagara Falls, where of course Harriet Tubman, after the Fugitive Slave Law of 1850, continued from New York all the way to Canada on the road to freedom. And so I would just like to say, again, much appreciation. And this couldn't be a better day for us to sit back and know that 200 years after her birth, we're still talking about the work, the sacrifice, the commitment, the dedication of Harriet Tubman, not just as an enslaved person, not just as a runaway, not just as a fugitive, not just as an Underground Railroad conductor, but as a great humanitarian. To me, one of the greatest Americans, particularly in Maryland. Out of Maryland, many famous women have come. Few have come from as far back and has 200-year legacy like Harriet Ross Tubman. So thank you, everyone, and let's continue to work, because there is a lot of work to do in the state of Maryland, particularly as it relates to the preservation, protection, and promotion of African American historical sites, places, and people and events. So I'm gonna leave it there, but I know I probably went over 10 minutes. Sorry, but thank you, folks. It's hard to speak on Harriet Tubman in a 21-year career in 10 minutes, but we're not finished. We're going to continue to work here in Baltimore to establish the ceremonial renaming of North Avenue as Harriet Tubman Boulevard, and to work with the people in Congress to get Harriet Tubman the $20 bill. And of course, I will be supporting the commission in their ongoing legacy now to support the legacy of Harriet Tubman. So thank you, everyone, and let's just have a great March, National Women's History Month. Then there's April, and we got things to do in April, May, and June as well. So let's keep the history and the culture alive. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Our next video is from Tim Reed. It is a father and his sons who are here to give gratitude and thank you to Harriet Tubman.
Dear Mrs. Tubman, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a brave soul that you were to inspire my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, my father to face this world that we're in. Dear Mrs. Tubman, I want to thank you for laying a foundation for me to be a husband, a father, and provide for my kids, to really have the bravery to face this world and create opportunities for other people to grow, to learn, and support their kids. Dear Mrs. Tubman, the job isn't done yet. Actually, right here today is like a reset was hit and we're starting all over. Dear Mrs. Tubman, I want you to know that I am here to do my part with my kids to make this world better for the next generation.
Dear Mrs. Tubman, I'd like to thank you for your bravery and courage in helping us escape slavery multiple times. And your actions still carry on to this day, inspiring us to keep moving forward to combat an unjust system. In honor of your actions, we've created multiple sites across the country to educate people of your story and our history. Dear Mrs. Tubman, I thank you for your work as a nurse, not only during the Underground Railroad, where you helped and cared for all your passengers, but also during your time in the Union Army, where you helped heal thousands of injured soldiers with your expertise in herbal medicine. I also find it incredibly inspiring how you travel around, especially to South Carolina, and help teach hundreds of people about medicine. And the way you did that, it inspired me to want to do it too.
Harriet Tubman was a conductor on the Underground Railroad for 8 years.
And she can say what most conductors can't. Her train has never gone off the tracks. And she's never lost a passenger.
Following in Harriet Tubman's footsteps, my mother and my father, I would like to use my talent, my skills, and every ounce of strength I have to make sure that the next generation has an underground railroad that they can depend on to usher them into the future.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me. Coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet
Our next video is from Commissioner Cheryl Macleod. She was inspired by Harriet Tubman to come out of the dark. You would see her video with her lantern showing that she is no longer afraid of the dark.
My name is Cheryl Macleod. I used to be afraid of the dark. Dear Harriet Tubman, I used to be afraid of the dark, but I have to tell you how you were my cure. I used to be afraid of the dark. I still live in a world where the dark is something to fear. As a slave, we are invisible by day. Our invisible hands wash the linens, nurse the babies, button the vests, and build the nation. Amber waves of grain and poured plaster cover our invisible graves. But at sundown, the nation's glory stretches long shadows. Righteous lies in broad daylight become the crimes of the night. I used to be afraid of the dark. The dark held cries and howls and screams. Brave men and women who refused to be invisible would walk into the darkness and never return. I used to be afraid of the dark, but I sensed you in the darkness. You've gone and returned, gone and returned, gone and returned, again and again, for us. I used to be afraid of the dark. Darkness is the unknown, but the life of the slave is laid out too plain, easy to see. I should not be afraid of the dark. In the night, I learned to read and write by candlelight. I'm no longer afraid of the dark. The dark is where coded songs are carried through the air, where I can blend into the night, where in the darkest hour the North Star shines the brightest, and I will be gone by dawn. Dear Miss Tubman, because of you, I now embrace the dark as my companion, my guide, my vision. From the dark, I've seen the light. I can see clearly now. The outside is calling me. I'm out. But don't worry. I know what to do. Sincerely, say my name, Destiny. Signed, sealed, hand delivered. Amen.
Our last video is from the Maryland School for the Deaf. It is a bunch of middle school children who actually told their story how they were inspired by Harriet Tubman. Enjoy. Now the moment you're waiting for. We are now ready to announce the winners. Everybody is a winner. We had 6 video contests and they're all winners. Everybody was exceptional and we really appreciate your time to do the videos. They were very, very nice. We also have a grand winner amongst the 6 videos, and the grand winner is the Maryland School for the Deaf, Columbia campus.
When I found out that I had crossed over that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came up like gold through the trees, and I felt like I was in heaven. Harriet Tubman. Free by Mary Hickson. Freedom is more than just a condition that exists. Freedom is the essence of our being, and it moves from within us out into our lives. I free my mind of past hurt or negative thoughts and allow my soul to reach heights of discovery. I free my mind of limitations. I am free to sow and magnify my potential to the maximum. And if I happen to make mistakes, I consider them learning experiences that help me know that I can do better next time. I am free. I proudly proclaim, I am free. Thank you. Heart, body, mind, soul, and spirit. I am free. Thank you, Amarenta, Harriet, Ross, Tubman, Davis.
My name is Melvin Kelly. I represent the northern part of Multnomah County on the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. I grew up, however, in Harriet County, about 5 miles west of where I'm standing now, in a little town called Simpsonville. I had 2 older brothers and lots of cousins and friends, and one of the places we used to like to play was in a cave, which was just across the road from where, the river where we fished and had a swimming hole. We were told during that time that that cave may have been used as a stop on the Underground Railroad. And at that time, and of course we had learned about Harriet Tubman before. And some years later, when we built a new school, high school, just across the road from where I was living at the time, that school, we named that school Harriet Tubman High School. And I graduated from that school in 1953. Some years later, my wife and I were traveling in the Niagara Falls area of Canada and came across a graveyard, a cemetery for runaway slaves. And we also visited a little town called St. Catharines, which is about a little farther north above Niagara Falls from where we were at the time we discovered the cemetery, and learned that Harriet Tubman had lived in that area for about 1.5 years to 2 years. And we visited a little church where she used to worship and spend time. So it's ironic, I find it ironic that at my age now, quite some senior, that I'm serving on a committee which is helping to celebrate her year-long 200th birth anniversary here in the state of Maryland.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this celebration of Maryland's Day, Women's History Month, and the bicentennial celebration of the life and legacy of Harriet Tubman. We sure hope that you enjoyed today's celebration. Special shout out to our governor, Larry Hogan, the governor's office, specifically Mr. Wilkerson. Special thank you to the Banneker-Douglass Museum Foundation, all of our sponsors, Visit Annapolis, and each and every one of you for joining us today. Remember, celebrate women, every day and every month of the year. Celebrate Black history every day and every month of the year. Please stay tuned, check out our website, and come and join us again for our next celebration. Remember, the Banneker-Douglass Museum is your state's official museum on African American history and culture. Thank you again for joining us.